A brief history of the Silk Road. 6,400 kilometers, searing 50 degrees Celsius heat, bitter cold of 40 below, across steppes, deserts, high mountains, with the constant threat of armed bandits. The Silk Road, a perilous challenge. The bones of pack animals litter the way as if in warning. But the world's oldest and most important trade route was not a single road, it was a vast network of many caravan routes. By the 2nd century BC, the Silk Road connected China to the Roman Empire. But it was only given its name in 1877 by German geographer Ferdinand von Richthofen. Silk was highly sought after by Roman women. But only the Chinese knew how to produce the valuable textile. The 2-year-long trip with up to 1,000 Bactrian camels was worth it. They didn't just carry silk, but also spices, lacquers, furs, and porcelain. In return, Europe sent gold, gemstones, and glass. Inventions, too, such as paper and black gunpowder were spread, and even religions were transmitted. Buddhism arrived in China and Japan across the Silk Road. Cities along the Silk Road flourished. In Samarkand, Bukhara, and Tashkent, there was roaring trade. Most merchants only traveled short distances, then sold their wares to the next buyers. This made the goods more expensive. But diseases were also transmitted along the trade route from Asia. The bubonic plague killed a third of Europe's population in the 14th century. The demise of the Silk Road began mainly because it was replaced by new maritime routes. Customs duties and bandits could be avoided, and goods reached their destinations more quickly. And today, it's estimated that China's new Silk Road will devour 1 trillion euros. With its roads, railroad tracks, and harbors, it's not a matter of reviving the glories of days gone by, but of shrewd economic calculation.
These are cooling and heating units for industrial buildings. Soon they'll be shipped to the US, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Mexico. The manufacturer Broad Group, a company headquartered in Hunan, China, specializes in energy-efficient air conditioning. In the next few years, the firm, with more than 3,000 employees, hopes to further expand, aided by China's Belton Road investment scheme.
A few years ago, projects in other countries relied on financing by local governments or companies. Things proceeded slowly, but since financing has become available, we're seeing projects develop much faster.
China is pouring billions of euros into projects around the world. At the end of April, 38 world leaders gathered in Beijing to discuss the initiative, widely known as Belton Road.
Belt and Road opens a new space for growth in the world economy. It creates a new platform for international trade and investment, and provides new ways for global economic governance, and contributes to the well-being of people in many countries.
Sometimes called the New Silk Road, the Belton Road Initiative is a massive infrastructure investment scheme. New railways are intended to provide better connectivity across the Eurasian continent. Investment in ports will open new maritime trading routes. According to official figures, the total value of projects already signed exceeds $500 billion. The projects are largely carried out by Chinese state-owned firms. They've gained experience with big construction projects during China's own infrastructure push of the past 40 years. But there is criticism of the international initiative. Many Western countries, including Germany, are reluctant to sign bilateral Belt and Road agreements. And one of the critics in the Global South is Malaysia's Premier Mahathir bin Mohamad.
While the increases in the volume of trade and reach the trading partners, the threats to the littoral states have unfortunately increased. Oil spills and dumping of waste at sea pollute the shores of these states.
Concerns for participating partner countries range from the environmental cost to sustainability of debt levels. In some places, China-friendly governments have been voted out of office. Malaysia and other countries have canceled or renegotiated contracts fearing debt. In view of China's own mega construction boom, critics call many of the Chinese investment projects overambitious.
The biggest lesson for the Chinese government was that you cannot just go ahead and build what you want. You have to consider what local governments and people want, and how the international community reacts. If you ask whether backlashes in some of those countries came as a surprise to the Chinese government, I would say it was not just a surprise, it was a shock.
The architecture of Broad Group's headquarters points to their international ambitions, from Europe to Egypt. So far, Broad has opened offices in 80 countries. And while most Belt and Road projects are carried out by Chinese state-owned companies, private businesses like Broad are seeing improved market access in many countries. One such country is Pakistan. Jason Jian stays in touch with the local staff via video conference. Recently, Islamabad and Beijing agreed to allow bilateral trade in Chinese renminbi, bypassing the dollar as an exchange currency.
We are hoping to reduce currency risks by investing renminbi and receiving renminbi in return. So we are now looking carefully into these agreements.
So far, international trade rules have been shaped by Western countries. Chinese companies like Broad hope that through its massive investments, China will gain a greater say in these rules to make them better serve Chinese businesses.
Belt and Road is a great project. According to our internal analysis, we expect the next 15 to 20 years to continue providing our company with excellent opportunities abroad.
China's ambitions are on the table. It's now up to the rest of the world to react.